All right. Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rayford here from Vet Triage, August 14, 10:29 a.m. Pacific time. Let's talk about how to find veterinary information from home. And this is mostly if you're a pet parent, if you own a pet, not for veterinarians. So obviously, folks use internet searches, web browsers to look for information. You have to be able to. Oh, I don't know if the live stream just restarted. So, for the sake of the playback crew, let me just start over here because there's just a glitch with the live stream. So, I'm Dr. Rayfage from Vet Triage. It's August 14, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to talk about how pet owners can find information online, what's the safest approach, how to avoid misinformation, all that stuff. Obviously, people these days are Googling everything or whatever internet browser you want to use. They use search engines to research stuff. And the challenge is to figure out whether or not that stuff, the information you find, is accurate, is it trustworthy. So basically, you need to vet the information that you find, no pun intended, actually was intended. And, you know, so there's a couple of ways you can do this. Right off the bat, I'm going to say talking to a veterinarian is the best. And that's what Vet Triage is for, 24/7 live video with veterinarians. Having said that, in the circumstance where you're trying to avoid talking to a veterinarian for some reason, or you're not thinking about it, you're in a panic or whatever, maybe you're just curious about something and it's not really an emergency, most people are going to use search engines and look for the information. So first off, you want to make sure that the information you're finding is seen in multiple sources, multiple websites. Obviously, people can just copy and paste other people's advice on the internet. So that's not the best way of going about it. But at least if you see it in more than one location, it's a bit more believable. Also, if the website has references, meaning they cited textbooks or medical journals or university websites or whatever sources of primary information, that also helps give credibility to it. But that also could be faked or inaccurate. Another way of looking stuff up like this is going right to the source. So academia, for example, universities are known to be the ivory tower. They are the gold standard. They set the bar. They are responsible for a lot of the research out there. And so their websites usually have information, maybe tailored more towards vet students, but they have information that a pet owner can hopefully rely on. Downfall is maybe difficult to search university websites because it won't be as specific. If you're like, how do I make my dog vomit? There may not be a section on that. It may be more related to like, oh, here are some toxicities that are common or whatever, right? And so whether or not it's going to target exactly what you're looking for is hard to say, which is why people Google in the first place, because they want to Google literally a question and have the answer pop up. And it will. It's just a matter of whether or not we can trust the information that's there. So those are some tips and tricks for how to Google responsibly, let's say, or search responsibly. At the end of the day, you don't really know. It's coming from our primary resource. And the primary resources are publications, textbooks, medical journals, consensus statements, things like that. And that's where it gets a bit tricky. But that brings me to my second point, which is looking for primary literature. So primary literature is literature that creates the information. And most often, the best example of that in the scientific community is journals, scientific journals, medical journals. That's primary information. Secondary information, secondary resource is a tier down from primary, where it's other folks quoting and summarizing the primary resources. So textbooks are a great example of this, right? Textbooks don't invent new information. They don't discover stuff. They take decades or years worth of information, consolidate it into a more concise format, and that's considered secondary source. Tertiary is everything else, which is websites and even just websites and social media platforms, message boards. These are just tertiary, which is the lowest level, and unfortunately the most accessible, the most understandable for the layperson, but the most inaccurate as well, just fraught with issues. So those are the three resource types. And it seems like we've gone away from teaching folks about those. But anyway, so if tertiary is giving you a hard time because you're searching internet browsers and you can't find consistency with the answers, or you're not really finding information sites, websites that are not citing the information where they got it from, then you have to try and go for secondary or primary, which may be a bit difficult to find because usually they cost money. You have to be a medically trained person to understand the lingo, but that's the most accurate information. PubMed, for example, the website, PUBMED, I think .gov or .org. Anyway, you search PubMed, and that's where all the medical journals, all the scientific journals are. And again, it's going to be tough to sift through it if you just have a simple question like, do I give my dog Benadryl for this issue? You may or may not find that answer on primary literature without doing a lot of digging. And so even though the information there is highly accurate, in fact, it's considered the standard, it may be difficult for someone to use it. So this is why I circle right back to a platform like Vet Triage, because you can literally get your specific question answered by somebody who is experienced, knowledgeable, compassionate, certified, trustworthy, all that stuff. And you don't have to worry about getting misinformation or disinformation and all that regarding your pet. We unfortunately do see lots of folks who do try to take it on themselves to research stuff and treat their pet. Then they realize that they screwed up or that they was the wrong dose or something. And now they're consulting us for two problems, whatever the initial issue was. And then now this overdose or inaccurate, the inappropriate intervention. We want to avoid that. We want to be aware you don't create more harm for your pet. Obviously, we all share that goal, and utilize Vet Triage to help you figure out what your questions are. So yeah, I think that's probably pretty good. There's a lot of nuance to researching. It's not a simple thing, and unless you're trained as a student, let's say, to know how to research information, it's just frustrating and daunting. So you want to go right to the source, which are primary resources, primary literature, which is ideal. Otherwise, talking to a professional. I mean, it's a reason why, even though you can look up stuff that an attorney would help you with, it's nowhere near as easy and convenient and user-friendly as talking to an actual attorney. Downfall is the attorney requires, commitment to time and money. So you have to take what you can, decide, is it worth the investment or not? And obviously for medical care, of course, I would argue that for your pet, it's worth the investment, especially with something like Vet Triage, with $75 US for equine, $50 for non-horse animals, pets. Talk to a vet and get all of your questions answered. Okay, I think that'll do it for today. Tomorrow, August 15. Let's look at the schedule. Oh, I might do a morning one. It might be really early, otherwise more in the afternoon, Pacific time. But we'll figure it out. We'll get it done. And yeah, any questions, let me know. Those who watch the playback, thank you so much. Please feel free to subscribe and donate, share, like, all the things. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.